Hello, everyone. This is Cody Lee of BlackCatBooks.org, author of I, the Dragon, Cruel and Beautiful, Rabbit Hole, Lore and Frame, the upcoming Jaw of the Dragon. So, with The Last of Us, HBO kind of crumbling to pieces, with very few people able to continue the narrative that this show is a particularly good adaptation. What's next for The Last of Us IP? What can we expect next from this beloved, legendary IP? Well, it's dead. Long and short of it, The Last of Us HBO was Naughty Dog's Hail Mary attempt to try and win back fans with the same tired rehash plot from the original game. Oh, by the way, isn't it funny how these people will constantly call Mario or Zelda games rehash when Naughty Dog can just put out a straight up remake, adapt something into a TV show and people start worshiping it for 3 episodes until people start realizing it's garbage. Yeah, isn't that amusing? Basically, Naughty Dog made a very concentrated attempt to try and win back the audience. And for the first couple of episodes, it honestly felt like I was back in 2013 again, where people were worshiping this game and calling it one of the best things ever made and declaring it a pinnacle of video game storytelling. BioShock Infinite was completely forgotten about in a couple of weeks because of The Last of Us. There was this very big concentrated push to make out The Last of Us to be one of the best video games ever made. And without that push, it never would have been talked about or really cared for at all. Without this weird fandom obsession with it, it never would have resonated with people at all. Because at the end of the day, The Last of Us is just a basic survival zombie story. There's nothing special or intriguing about it. It's not original, it's not fun, it's not engaging. The Last of Us was a mediocre product to start with. And it wasn't until The Last of Us Part 2 where Neil Druckmann went full mask off and started revealing his actual plans for the story series, what he actually wanted to do with this IP, that people started realizing that there was something up with it. And now with this HBO adaptation, seeing them introduce new characters that weren't in the original, and seeing them completely butcher the plot and make it even more woke than it already was, pulling all these stunts, it becomes very, very clear that the general population, uh, it's not possible to to maintain this level of hype of enthusiasm, this worship of an IP, if you just keep doing the same thing over and over and over again. Like The Last of Us, it has this really interesting problem where if you if you've played the game, what is there to look forward to in the adaptation? And if you haven't played the game, then why are you so emotionally invested in this mediocre TV series? And watching critics, people like Angry Joe, people like those dipshits at PKA, watching people try and pretend this show is one of the best video game adaptations ever, it's downright laughable. It is ridiculous. Okay, I don't even think these guys are gamers, let alone actual film and TV show critics, right? They have no idea, what goes into a production. They don't know how. They don't know. They have no idea, okay, what makes a compelling performance or a script, and even now, it feels more like they're trying to make excuses for the very obvious problems with these games. Alex from Angry Joe, he was talking about how there aren't a lot of zombies in this zombie show, and that is a legit criticism with the Last of Us IP, right? The zombies don't feel like they would be a threat. This is a problem with zombie fiction in general, but it's the justification, the existence of the zombies is used to justify the world building and the way things are in the world of The Last of Us. They're just a plot device. They have nothing to do with the characters themselves. They don't drive the plot in any meaningful way. The Last of Us is just lazy storytelling. It has no real creativity or passion behind it. And more, I think, as people watch the show, people are bringing up very, very good questions, why is this fat bitch with a soft voice commanding these military troopers? Why is this happening? Why did Joel do this? Why did they why there are just so many questions in regards to the logic of the world building and the general structure of the plot. So many, in fact, that it's safe to say, even as someone who has never watched Last of Us, who was not tricked, by the way, into watching episode 3, or even worse, damage controlling episode 3, as someone like that, like even I can totally see there's plot holes in this show that you can run a truck through. But right now, the shills and the critics are not admitting it. They're not going to admit it until the show ends and it stops being produced, and then they move on to the next big thing. But that's the thing. Like, The Last of Us has been that big thing for a decade now. Like, when exactly are we going to get over ourselves and stop pretending this IP is in any way impactful or meaningful to any group of people? The only reason this thing gets talked about is because there's nothing else on PlayStation to discuss at all. There is absolutely nothing of worth on PlayStation or any of their subsidiary companies. Like, real gamers are pretty much exclusively gaming on Nintendo platforms at this point. Like, nobody's playing on PlayStation, nobody's playing PlayStation games on PC. Like, why exactly are we supposed to be this? Why exactly were we supposed to be hyped for The Last of Us HBO? It feels fake. It feels artificial. It feels like a bunch of celebrities were paid to tweet about this game, about this show when it went live on HBO, like day one. And curiously, nobody seems interested in talking about it further. Like, it's like, why? And again, this is the thing about modern entertainment that gets me, is that it doesn't feel like people are being entertained by anything. They don't care about the TV shows. They don't care about the stuff they're watching. All they're doing is consuming the product that's hip and new so they can talk about it on their social media, so they can rack up those subscriber numbers, just so they can get more likes and follows and shares for their stupid streams that nobody will ever watch. That is the situation we're in right now. We are in this giant circle jerk of nonsense of people just trying to like defend this property, defend like Naughty Dog, defend Sony, defend HBO from everything they've done over the past several years. Like, how many of these people are like not how many of these people are just ignoring all the terrible productions, all the decisions they've made? Like, they'll just continue giving them money forever. There will never be like a moment where they realize that, like, wow, maybe if I don't like the HBO, maybe I should go do something else. That is, it's it's embarrassing. It always has been. When The Last of Us is forgotten, and it will be, it's already well on its way to being that. When The Last of Us is forgotten, these people are just gonna move on to the next big thing. Like, the cycle is just gonna repeat itself over and over and over again. And I, my cry to you, okay, my demand, just stop, okay? Like, all you have to do, shut the TV off, go outside, do something, but don't watch The Last of Us on HBO.